ball security because that's an opportunity. There's another play later on in the game, maybe it was early second quarter or late in the first, where he rolled out to the left, or there was pressure, he slid to his left, and he threw it, and somebody tipped it. And, one of those plays where it's like, oh, just incomplete. But that was really close to a fumble.
Right.
And so for me, this game, I didn't see, like I said, there was a throw that he missed. There was a roll. There was an early play where he avoided Jerry Hughes and kind of skipped one in the ground. But for me, I'm saying, hey, defense, when we play this guy, if he does decide to scramble, get that ball out.
Mm-hmm. Trampoline off of that, by the way, Sam Acho joining Freddie Coleman, Harry Douglas on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. How much of a reservation should the 49ers have about moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo despite giving the keys to the kingdom to Trey Lance, a quarterback, Sam?
They should have no reservation.
Okay.
They should have no reservation whatsoever. This is the decision they made. I think it's a great decision. I mean, season doesn't start for another 2 weeks and maybe some change. And so even like there's going to be a learning curve that Trey Lance experiences, and that's normal. That's very normal. And so there shouldn't be any reservation. They've made their decision. I'm sure y'all have heard the phrase, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Well
they are
done.
of a singular mind. They know, and I believe them, right? Kyle Shanahan offensively, they've been second in yards per attempt the last 2 years, only behind MVP Aaron Rodgers. So I think Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing, but he also knows where he wants to go. And so there shouldn't be any reservations whatsoever because there's going to be growing pains. And also, we haven't even seen those yet because it's just the preseason.
Now, yesterday, Jerry Jones happened to be on First Take, and
boy.
Jerry loves attention. He loves the camera, but he also said on First Take that Ezekiel Elliott has to be the focal point of that offense, and he has to be the engine. Do you agree with that take?
I don't. And I hear where he's coming from, and he's got the keys, right? He's giving out the keys to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's his show. It's Jerry's world, right? The stadium it's Jerry's world is what people call it in Texas. And so in Jerry's world, we're living in it. But in a lot of ways, if you just look at the stats, in their 6-game winning streak last year, remember like week 2 to week 7 or week 8, there's a bye week in there when they averaged like 150-something yards per game rushing. It wasn't just Zeke. It was Zeke and Tony Pollard. Each of them average over 5 yards.
Football league that can do that. If you want me to name them, I name them. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and I'll even throw Josh Allen in there because they don't even run the damn football effectively. He was the second leader rush on this team with over 750 yards. So they throw the football and pass it around like that. So there's only a handful of guys in this league that can go into a football game and say, you know what, we're going to throw 35, 40 times a game and expect to win. It just doesn't work like that. You got to be balanced. Majority of the teams have to be balanced. But then you would look at a guy like Tom Brady. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they try to inquire balance within their offense. They want to be balanced. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they want to be balanced in rushing the football because they understand that you have to do so. But when you have a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, when he's healthy and he's getting downhill, he's one of the toughest running backs to tackle, but then you sprinkle in some Tony Pollard as well. I would like to see them a lot more this year go 21 personnel, that's 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 receivers, or go 22 personnel, that's 2 backs, 2 tight ends, and 1 receiver. It just figure out a way for these backs, or 20 personnel, right? That's two running backs, 3 receivers. Now, I don't know where the hell the other 2 receivers going to come from because they're just deficient in that department. Maybe when other guys get healthy and they come back, James Washington and Michael Gallup. But I want to see these 2 running backs on the football field be effective. But here's the chess piece, Freddie.
Right.
That offensive line has so many question marks.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to start now a rookie that you drafted in the first round, and Tyler Smith out of Tulsa, because of the injury to Tyron Smith. Now, Smith has been hurt the last few years off and on, and he's missed a ton of games. So it's not like that's a huge blow. And you have ample time to try to get Tyler Smith ready. You still have, 16 days to the day. That's just a little bit under 3 weeks to get him ready to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But here's a news flash. Guess who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have opposite on their O-line, on their defensive line? Akeem Hicks, Vita Vea, Joe Tryon, who I think is going to have a big year this year.
Come on
Shaq Barrett.
Come on now.
Levante David, Devin White in the line. They have some doggone dogs over there on defense.
Yep.
So if Jerry Jones wants this to be right, then the offensive line better get right. But Dallas, when they played Tampa last year in the first game, they knew they couldn't run the football against that defense because Tampa was one of the better defensive teams versus the run. So they tried to do a lot more on the perimeter. When you don't have an Amari Cooper, when you don't have a Michael Gallup out there, How are you going to get those plays? You have to utilize Tony Pollard in the correct ways. So I'm putting this onus on Kellen Moore. Be more dynamic in your run scheme and your run game so this run game can help Dak out a lot more because he already has a ton on his shoulders.
Harry Douglas and Freddie Coleman on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Here's the deal with Jerry Jones. This is what happens when you're in the helicopter way too long with Stephen A. Smith before first take happens. Because Jerry Jones was feeling the moment. Everybody's down there at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Stephen A. Smith didn't have the cowboy hat. He and Molly Curran, Michael Irvin. Jerry Jones loves himself some Jerry Jones. He loves himself some Dallas Cowboys. But he also knows this. The way the Cowboys are going to be successful is that they have to get back to the 1990s. They got to get back in the hot tub time machine. And he wants Ezekiel Elliott to do for his quarterback, Dak Prescott, what Emmitt Smith did for Troy Aikman, where the passing game complemented the running game and not the other way around. Jerry Jones has put it out there. Hey, Zeke, I'm putting this on you. Yeah, the offensive line's in flux. Dak Prescott, this is his football team, but I'm putting this on you. I know what kind of running back and what kind of bell cow, to use that old word, that you can be for this team, not just offensively but defensively. This is Jerry Jones' way of reducing pressure on the guy that he gave the most money to, and that is Dak Prescott. Because Jerry Jones has seen the more pressure that's on Dak Prescott, the Cowboys don't seem to rise above that level. And that's not to say that Dak Prescott can't do it. But Jerry Jones is trying to reduce that pressure to say, we know we need our quarterback to be exceptional. We need our quarterback to be extraordinary. But, hey, Zeke, it can't just be on Dak. You got to help him out. It can't just be about Tony Pollard. You got to help him out. Because Jerry Jones knows, even in modern football, Harry, if you're not two-fisted, if you're trying to win one-fisted, you're going to lose to the San Francisco 49ers in the first round like what happened last year. He's putting all this in Ezekiel Elliott to reduce pressure on his offensive line and, more importantly, the quarterback that he gave a lot of money to before last season when it comes to Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, though, Freddie. You look at a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, he's getting paid a lot of money, too. So they need him to step up and perform this year and be even better than he was last year. Now, granted, he was injured, but when I look at the Cowboys' schedule, right, in the first game of the year, they're going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who we understand has Tom Brady. They played them the first game of the year last year. It was a shootout. It was phenomenal. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers came out with that victory. That's on Sunday Night Football. Then week 2, they're going against the Cincinnati Bengals. One thing I know about Cincinnati, that they have playmakers. They have one of the better skill position groups in the National Football League. They have Joe Burrow at quarterback. So in my eyes, they're going to put up points. So if you are the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to have to play a little ball control. Right? Can we run this football, keep this ball away from that offense and those weapons? Then week 3, they have the Giants. Then they have the Washington Commanders, which if they can be right, Chase Young not there right now. I'm looking forward to that defensive line being better.
Right.
But the next 2 are against the Los Angeles Rams, who won the Super Bowl last year, and they have a guy, Aaron Donald, which we were talking about earlier this morning, who's the best player in football. Not only do they have Aaron Donald, you talk about having 3 key pieces at all levels on defense: Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, and Jalen Ramsey. How many teams can sit there and tell you they have an all-pro at each level defensively? Not many. But then the next game against Philly, who I think has a better roster and will have a better year than the Dallas Cowboys because of the people on their roster. Now, Pro Football Focus, I think, ranked them 7th roster-wise overall, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are 16th. Now, I got that stat from Himbo, and I got to give Himbo some love because when I was on Get Up, he gave it to me. Listen, I was still learning. I was supposed to mention Himbo's name while I was on Get Up. I didn't. So, Himbo, I'm showing you that love right now on KJM, my man.
By the way, Gourmet Chef Kev hit us on Twitter at Coleman ESPN and at HDugs83 saying, I love the way JJ ride or die with his players that he believes in. I can't stand the Cowboys, but the owner will die on a hill for them. There's no doubt about that Jerry Jones loves that team and loves everything that team represents. They are the most valuable franchise in sports in the United States when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. But he doesn't want that value to just be what I like to call paper tiger value, where you're that valuable, but you have not won a championship since 1996. That was the last time the Dallas Cowboys were in the Super Bowl. He is sick and tired of the Cowboys being talked about but having nothing to show for it. Dak Prescott is tired of that too, because even Dak Prescott said, hey, I still believe in this football team. If you don't believe in us, then what are we doing here? Then you don't need to be here. Jerry Jones doubled down but moved that pressure away, Harry, from his quarterback. He said, hey, Zeke, I know you got 1,002 yards last year, but a 17-game season, you didn't even average 59 yards rushing per game. I know it's a two-back system, Harry, in the National Football League, but that's his way of telling Zeke, you got to get us at least 75 to 80 yards rushing per game. And if you do that, then you're going to be better served. We're going to be better served and everything else. And then maybe the next time he's in a helicopter with Stephen A. Smith doing First Take, he'll have another championship ring, and now having Stephen A. Smith making fun of him and Cowboys fans and Jerry Jones running off at the mouth because he got caught up in the moment on First Take yesterday with Stephen A. Smith and the crew.
And I say this, too. When you have two guys in the backfield, and Tony Pollard is amazing and was amazing for this team last year.
Yep.
But if you're Ezekiel Elliott and you're looking at Tony Pollard, no hating situation. I'm just saying you're just overviewing, looking at things that happened and transpired last year. Tony Pollard had 100 less carries than you last year and only had a little bit under 300 yards short of what you had.
719 and 5.5 per carry. Yep.
You have to be more productive. And both of these running backs you can utilize in the pass game. I remember the year before last, Ezekiel Elliott being one of those guys that you can give a ball to on a screen or a swing pass,
Absolutely.
and you can count on him getting you 10, 12, 15 because he's so hard to tackle in the open field. Secondary defenders are not going to want to come up and tackle Ezekiel Elliott one-on-one in the open field. It's just plain out and day not going to happen. So you utilize him in those ways. He was hurt last year, so you didn't really want to, but you have two phenomenal backs who can not only rush the football but can catch the football out of the backfield, utilize it, and take advantage of opposing defense.